With over 170 million American users, TikTok is not just an app, it's a cultural mainstay. But come January 19 of 2025, this could no longer exist, vanishing from United States app stores. How did we get here? And what's next for TikTok? Well, stay tuned today while we go over the latest developments regarding the possible TikTok ban within the United States. What is being discussed? What are the implications on the content creators as well as advertisers on this platform? So stay tuned while we dive into another trending topic here on this channel. Welcome back to the Next Level Life Hacks, where we take the next steps needed to go towards our financial freedom and success. Now, part of our freedom and success is the ability to earn on different social platforms. Now, TikTok has existed for several years and there has been so much controversy surrounding its existence. But I think that we are now at a breaking point, a tipping point if you like to say, in terms of the future of TikTok within the US market. Lately, the most drastic thing has happened, maybe to the fear of many creators and advertisers on the platform, in that a federal appeals court has upheld the ban that was implemented on TikTok within the US market. And this is poised to take effect in January of next year. Yes, at the time of creating this video, that would mean that it is set to be implemented next month. Now, the only way that this would not happen is if the Supreme Court intervenes to alter the implementation of this ban. Now, why it is critical is that the ban is surrounding a matter of national security, primarily due to the ownership of TikTok being by a Chinese company known as ByteDance. And this has ignited fierce discussion and debate regarding national security, privacy, and the selling of the United States users' information to the Chinese government. A very valid concern, especially because China and US has always been adversaries in terms of production, manufacturing, trading, and in terms of spying. Now, what are the key developments that have led to this ban? The first thing that we're going to be looking at is the court ruling. Now, on December 6th, the U.S. Court of Appeal in the D.C. Circuit ruled in favor of the federal government's ban on TikTok. Now, the government's argument is that the ban is essentially to protect national security and privacy, while on TikTok's side, they are saying that the ban on them is an infringement on the First Amendment. And if anyone knows about the First Amendment, it basically speaks to the freedom of speech. Now, the United States is very big in terms of freedom of speech and expression, and that is why you will find so many liberal attitudes and activities occurring within the United States because, hey, there is a strong belief in freedom of expression and freedom of speech. Now, one crucial quotation coming out of that circuit court is that the judge made this statement, and I'm going to read it for you. The First Amendment exists to protect free speech in the United States. He also went on to say that here the government acted solely to protect that freedom from a foreign adversary nation. Notice the word adversary, and as I mentioned before, a primary part of this discussion, debate, and the possible ban of TikTok is just based on where or who owns the company. And that is ByteDance, which is originated in China, and there is the fear that China will use the app to steal information, spy on the populace, and overall to influence the narration within the United States. Now, what are the implications of the ban? If the ban is implemented, it means that TikTok will be removed from all United States app stores, which means it will no longer be available on the iStores or through any Google App Store, which has serious implications. Now, what I am foreseeing is that persons who currently are on the app, whether it be for content creation, advertisers, or just the end users, they will experience a limitation and gradual reduction in terms of the capability of the app, because as updates become available for the app, then it will not be available to be downloaded, while any new users that want to go on the platform will not be able to do so because it will just not be available in any of the app stores. A further limitation is going to be coming from the internet providers, because if a ban is implemented and upheld by the Supreme Court, then all internet providers will not be allowed to allow the downloading of this app on any device through their network services. So you are seeing that it is going to be extremely difficult for TikTok to exist in this environment. Now you might say, how is it that TikTok got themselves into this situation? Well, let's look at the track record and the history as to what led up to this, or what has been happening that you might not be aware of in the background. Now, over the years, despite TikTok's denial of wrongdoing, there has been rumors that they have been doing data collection from the users of TikTok. Now, it is mentioned that the extensive use of data by the app by its end users is a playing field to collect too much information from the United States population. Also, there is content manipulation, because based on the Forbes news, it is mentioned as well that concerns have been raised regarding the potential censorship and manipulation and promotion of Chinese propaganda through the app. Additionally, according again to Forbes News, it has been reported that TikTok itself had been spying on their journalists. Serious allegations, and these are the factors that have been fueling the distrust of the app. Another major implication is of the 1 billion users of the app, TikTok, and billion with a B, 170 million of those users are domiciled in the United States. So therefore, if the app were to lose 170 million users, and not just the users, you are looking at predominantly those advertisers on the platform being from the United States with the big spend. Now, if you have 170 million users no longer using the app, as well as all of the suppliers from the United States no longer advertising on the app, that is a very serious blow to ByteDance. Now, we're not going to look at the implication only for TikTok through ByteDance. What is the implication for the creators, the end users, and the advertisers on the app? There is going to be much less reach for those suppliers, because that 1 billion persons that they could have reached through the app, because remember, those advertisers in the United States, those United States-based companies, they are not only advertising and reaching the US market, because based on globalization, their products and services can be accessed from anywhere in the world. Then let's look at the content creators. All those taps and roses and those contribution of lions, that would therefore be drastically reduced, because there would no longer be persons using the app as much as before, so therefore content creators would face a drastic reduction in their income, and therefore a reduction or a lowering of their lifestyle, their standard of living, because they no longer have that level of disposable income. And let's look at the social implications. We are now a heavily dependent nation on social media. You have persons who are heavily invested in terms of TikTok, and they use it for their amusement and upliftment, because they don't interact physically with other persons as much. So the implications of a ban on TikTok are far-reaching. Now, what is TikTok doing to fight back? Of course, they're going to be appealing this. Now, they are going to be appealing to the Supreme Court, because they are going to be levying their appeal based on the freedom of speech, again, the First Amendment right. In recent times as well, TikTok users and creators have staged demonstrations and protests emphasizing the app's important role in freedom of expression and the creative industry. Now, what is your thought? Can TikTok survive? Well, let's look at the scenario. The best case scenario is that the Supreme Court does not uphold the ban and business continues as usual for TikTok, with maybe some minor adjustments to their business operation and their accountability and the reporting of the information that they gather. Worst case scenario is that the Supreme Court upholds the ban. then TikTok would have to make a serious business decision whether they should divest from ByteDance. Now, is divesting from ByteDance in their best interest? Are they going to want to do that? That's the big question, because if they don't, then they will face total elimination in the US market. Now, of course, there is one factor that we need to look at, and that is the Trump factor. Now, will President-elect Trump decide to uphold the ban, or is it that he's going to say freedom of speech is important? Remember what had happened with X and what led to him opening his own social media company. He is a strong advocate of freedom of speech, as you should realize. Now, if it is that he comes in on January 21, he decides to sign an executive order, or he decides to lobby Congress to repeal the ban, well, that is yet to be seen. What is my advice? My advice is that content creators on TikTok need to start diversifying their offering. If you realize YouTube Shorts has seen an explosion in terms of their development and usage, maybe you need to advertise more on YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, because hey, you're not sure of what the future might hold, and it is best to have a strong plan B just in case the Supreme Court upholds the ban. Also, brands that are relying on TikTok to advertise your product or services, you really need to start exploring other audiences on other platforms so that you are not hit suddenly and have a major impact if the ban is actually implemented for TikTok. All in all, my viewers, if you are a TikTok viewer, content creator, advertiser, you need to bear in mind that, hey, we are reaching the decision point. It may go either way, so have a strong plan B in place. As usual, my friends, I have given you the unbiased information. What you do with it is going to prove important to your future success. I thank you for watching this video. I enjoyed sharing this information with you. Thank you for watching, and see you in the